What if the most powerful thing about you isn't what you say or what you do, but the silence that surrounds you? Some people enter a room and the atmosphere bends. No words, no gestures, no effort, yet the air itself rearranges. It isn't beauty. It isn't charisma. It's something deeper, a frequency so rare that only 1% ever awaken it. And if you've felt the weight of unexplained stares, the hush that follows your presence, or the resistance that arises without cause, you may already carry it. This is not a gift of performance. It is not learned through charm. It is gravity, invisible, but undeniable. A resonance that unsettles illusions and reflects what others hide. Mystics have always known this. Neville Goddard said, "You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are." And Rumi whispered, "Silence is the language of God, all else is poor translation." Both pointed to the same paradox. Real power does not announce itself. It emanates. But here lies the question, the one we will leave open until the very end. If this aura exists within you, why do so few awaken it? Why does only 1% carry the weight of this resonance while the rest remain blind? By the close of this journey, you will understand the cost, the responsibility, and the gift of such presence. You will see why what feels like solitude is actually initiation. And you will discover why the rarest aura on Earth is not meant to shine like light, but to pull like gravity. Most people think presence is built from the outside in, through appearance, status, charisma, or a carefully rehearsed confidence. But the rare aura isn't crafted. It isn't practiced. It is uncovered, often in silence, often through descent. This energy doesn't need performance because it doesn't need permission. It moves through you like gravity, unseen yet irresistible, announcing nothing yet altering everything. Imagine a still lake. On the surface, silence. But beneath, an unseen current reshapes the entire body of water. That's what this aura is. Not a flash of light demanding attention, but a pull that rearranges everything around it. People may not understand what they're feeling, but they feel it. Some lean closer. Others retreat without knowing why. Your existence disrupts the scripts they've memorized, not by speaking, but by being. Science itself offers us metaphors for this mystery. A magnetic field cannot be seen with the eyes, yet it organizes iron filings into order the moment it is present. In the same way, the rare aura organizes the subtle fields around it. It reveals what is hidden in others, not by judgment, but by resonance. The quantum field mirrors coherence, and when your coherence is deep, the atmosphere cannot help but shift. This is why people project so much onto you. They will call it mystery, intensity, even intimidation. But what they are really naming is their own reflection. Your presence pulls their hidden chaos to the surface. You don't have to provoke it. The aura does it for you. Gravity does not ask for applause. And here is the paradox. In a world that rewards noise, this aura is born of silence. While most chase attention, you disturb it. While most polish their image, you dismantle it. And that dissonance, between the world's performance and your presence, is exactly why this aura is so rare. It cannot be faked. It cannot be mass-produced. It must be lived. Most people mistake aura for performance. They think it's about radiance, about sparkle, about a kind of glow that wins the crowd. They imagine it as charisma amplified, the art of being seen, the skill of holding attention. But what we are talking about here has nothing to do with theatrics. The rare aura that only a few carry is not a performance that dazzles. It is a gravity that disturbs. Think about the pull of the moon on the ocean. The moon doesn't shout. It doesn't shine the brightest. Yet its silent weight moves entire tides. That is the nature of this aura. It is not loud, but undeniable. It does not seek recognition, but everything around it shifts in its presence. People feel the tug before they can name it, the way water feels the pull of the moon without ever looking up. Performance depends on effort. Charm demands an audience, but gravity needs nothing. It simply exists, and by existing, it shapes the invisible architecture of a room. This is why those who carry this aura do not need to prove themselves. They don't have to manipulate perception. They don't chase influence. Their stillness is the influence. Their silence is the announcement. Their being is the act. Silence is not absence. It is presence. And yet, because the world is addicted to spectacle, many overlook it. Society has been conditioned to value what is loud, what is marketable, what can be sold. But presence is not a commodity. It cannot be packaged into a seminar or injected into a brand. It cannot be faked through confidence tricks or performance rehearsals. You either carry it or you don't. And those who carry it have usually walked through fire to find it. Have you noticed how some people feel restless in your silence, while others feel safe in it? That's the mark of gravity at work. It doesn't flatter. It reveals. And what it reveals is never neutral. This is why people often misunderstand. They will look at someone with this rare aura and try to label it with the wrong words: mysterious, intimidating, aloof. But what they are really feeling is weight, not distance. They are sensing the resonance of someone who has descended deep into themselves, someone who no longer needs noise to feel alive. To be in the presence of such a person is to feel your own mask suddenly heavy, your own noise suddenly unbearable. Only a small fraction of humanity will ever carry this kind of resonance, and those who do almost always feel its cost first as loneliness. You've probably felt it, standing in a crowded room and still feeling unseen, speaking with people yet realizing the conversation barely grazes the surface. This is not because you are broken. It is because you are tuned to a frequency that most cannot hear. The world rewards conformity, performance, noise. When you walk differently, when your silence speaks louder than their words, they don't know what to do with you. They either idolize what they don't understand or retreat from what feels too real. Both reactions leave you with the same impression: distance. You are noticed, but rarely known. You are remembered, but rarely understood. This is the paradox of carrying such an aura. You are magnetic, but not always embraced. Some are drawn to you, desperate for the clarity you reflect, while others feel threatened by the same clarity and flee. You do not even need to act. Your very presence reveals what others have buried. And when people are not ready to face themselves, they misinterpret you. They call you cold when you are simply discerning. They call you arrogant when you are simply grounded. They call you intense when you are simply real. And so, you learn to live at the edge of belonging. You walk among many, but rarely with many. You taste connection in rare flashes, in those who carry a similar vibration, but more often you walk alone. This solitude is not punishment. It is initiation. It is the mark of the few, because truth, when embodied, cannot blend with illusion. And until the world is ready to feel what you carry, you will always feel a little out of place. But hidden inside that solitude is a sacred recognition. If you feel set apart, it is not because you failed to fit in. It is because you were never meant to. The rare aura is not given for comfort. It is given for awakening. And awakening has always been a lonely path, walked by the few who dared to descend where the many refused to go. This aura is not inherited by chance. It is forged in the descent, the journey few are willing to take. To carry such presence, you must have walked into the darker chambers of yourself. Not darkness as in evil, but darkness as in silence, mystery, shadow. It is the place society teaches us to avoid, to bury, to numb. But those who awaken this rare energy do not escape it. They descend. It is in those long nights of questioning, when the mask you wore no longer fit, in the loneliness that broke your illusions, in the silence so heavy it fractured your identity. There, in the depth, the aura is born. You were not given it for free. You paid for it in confusion, in tears, in loss. And yet the descent did not destroy you. It stripped you. It burned away what was false, so that only what was real could remain. Most people run from that fire. They cling to distraction, to noise, to performance, anything but the raw silence of themselves. But you stayed. You let the silence scream. You let the shadows mirror you. You endured the unraveling. And because of that, you returned with something unshakable. The presence you carry today is not the absence of pain. It is the alchemy of it. This is why so few awaken this aura. It comes at a cost too high for most to pay. To sit with your own depths without running. To let the false self dissolve. To die in a way, without leaving the body. That is why only 1% can awaken it, because only 1% will ever dare to descend. And so, when others sense your presence and cannot explain why, what they are feeling is the echo of your descent. They don't see the nights you spent in silence, the battles you fought within, but they feel the residue, the gravity of someone who has faced themselves and lived to tell the story without words. From that descent into shadows, a gift is born, not the kind wrapped in beauty or ease, but the kind forged in fire. Many suffer, yet only a few allow their suffering to become sacred. The difference is choice. Some cling to pain until it corrodes them, while others let it dissolve the mask and reveal essence. That is the quiet initiation. This aura is not earned through achievement. It is not the prize of effort. It is the residue of alchemy, the transformation of wounds into wisdom, grief into gravity, silence into resonance. Pain alone cannot create it. But pain embraced, pain transmuted, pain surrendered into presence. That is where the rare frequency awakens. You don't carry this energy because you avoided the storm. You carry it because you walked into it, let it tear apart the person you thought you were, and emerged as something deeper. People feel it in ways they cannot explain. In your stillness, they sense survival. In your silence, they hear echoes of battles fought in secret. You do not have to speak to teach. Your presence carries the curriculum. The ancients called this the great work. The alchemists wrote of lead turning into gold, but the true lead was always human heaviness, the despair, the grief, the illusions. And the true gold was always the soul unmasked, luminous in its quiet strength. You are the stone philosophers sought, not an object, but a being transfigured. Neville said, "Feeling is the secret." And here lies the secret within the secret. Feeling deeply, even when it burns, is what forges presence. Your aura is not born from rejecting pain, but from absorbing it until it no longer defined you. That's why others sense a strange gravity around you. They don't see scars. They feel the weight of gold. And the paradox is this: what nearly broke you is the very thing that now radiates through you. Your aura is not the absence of wounds, but their transfiguration. It is the silent testimony that pain does not have the final word. Presence does. And presence, when forged this way, becomes unforgettable. To carry this aura is to walk the world as a mirror. You don't plan it. You don't try. Yet the moment you enter a space, something invisible stirs. Conversations shift. Voices rise unnaturally loud or fall suddenly quiet. Strangers stare too long or look away too quickly. Some feel compelled to tell you secrets they never intended to share. Others avoid you as if your silence exposed too much. None of it is about you. All of it is about what your presence reflects. Because presence is revelation, and revelation is not always welcome. In a society addicted to illusion, masks, and performance, to stand as a mirror is to disrupt the script. People want you to play along, to validate their characters, to confirm their illusions. But your very stillness refuses. It reveals the tremor behind their confidence, the hollowness beneath their charm, the wounds they thought were well hidden. You don't accuse, you simply exist. And existence, when it's this clear, can feel like confrontation. Have you ever wondered why people either lean closer to you or retreat without a word? That's why reactions polarize. Some are magnetized, drawn into your orbit, not because you flatter them, but because you awaken them. They feel seen in ways words could never provide. Others recoil, labeling you as intimidating, distant, too much. What they are really saying is, "You reminded me of what I am not ready to face." Your aura is not charm. It is not charisma. It is clarity. And clarity will always divide. But remember, division is not failure, it is function. The mirror does not exist to please the many. It exists to awaken the few. To carry this rare aura is not a prize. It is a responsibility. Because the world will try to convince you to spend it, to package it, to soften it, to turn your silence into performance and your presence into commodity. The temptation will be constant. Blend in, be more palatable, hide the weight of what you carry so others can remain comfortable. But if you do, you betray the very essence that makes you different. The true power of this aura is not in how many people approve of it, but in how faithfully you embody it. It is not about gathering attention, it is about transmitting truth. And truth does not beg for applause. Truth simply is. The question is whether you will hold it, even when the holding isolates you. I once knew a man who carried this frequency until he tried to sell it. He softened his edges, performed his silence, packaged his presence into something marketable. For a time, the world applauded him, but those who once felt his gravity stopped feeling it, because gravity cannot be faked. He had traded resonance for relevance, and relevance fades. Presence does not. Understand this. The world is built for noise. Algorithms reward performance. Markets monetize charisma. Leaders are chosen not for their depth, but for their spectacle. To walk as resonance instead of noise is to walk against the current. It means you will be misunderstood, underestimated, even feared. And still, the call is to remain intact, to refuse to dilute the frequency. Responsibility here means this: you do not exist to please, but to remind. You do not exist to be liked, but to be felt. You do not bend your truth to fit the comfort of the crowd. You stand as a signal for the few who are ready, the ones whose souls are already stirring. And for them, your presence becomes a doorway. So guard this aura as you would guard sacred fire. Don't waste it trying to warm those who fear the flame. Don't dim it to ease their eyes. Let it burn as it was meant to. Steady, clear, undeniable. Because somewhere, someone is searching for exactly the resonance you carry. And if you hold it faithfully, they will find you, not through words, not through effort, but through recognition. What if the reason only 1% carry this aura is not scarcity, but purpose? In every age, there are those who walk ahead of the rest, not to be worshipped, but to be witnessed. Their very presence stirs something dormant in others. Like tuning forks, one vibration awakens another, until resonance spreads quietly through the collective. This is how civilizations shift. Not by noise, but by frequency. Your solitude has a meaning. The silence you've carried is not just for you. It is for those who have forgotten their own. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, every time you walk away from illusion instead of blending into it, you create space for someone else to remember. The rare awakens the rare. One soul standing in truth gives permission for another to do the same. This is why the path feels heavy. It is not just your life you are holding. It is the unseen lives that brush against yours. The ones who watch you from a distance and quietly recalibrate because you exist. They may never tell you. You may never know their names. But the ripple is real. Presence does not need acknowledgement to leave an imprint. The ancients taught that light spreads not through spectacle, but through resonance. A single flame does not burn out when it shares itself. It multiplies. So it is with this aura. Your frequency, though quiet, carries through generations. It may not trend, it may not be popular, but it endures, because it belongs not to the marketplace, but to the timeless. And here lies the collective paradox. While only a fraction will ever embody this aura, everyone who encounters it is changed. Some will resist, some will retreat, but a few will awaken, and those few are enough. For history has never been transformed by the majority. It has always been shifted by the rare, the silent, the ones who refuse to forget. So if you've wondered why you feel different, why you walk alone, why your presence unsettles, understand this. It was never about isolation. It was initiation. You are not outside of the collective. You are the signal within it. And your role is not to force awakening, but to embody it, knowing that your being alone is already the message. We began with a question. Why is it that only 1% awaken this aura? The answer is not luck. It is not talent. It is choice. Because to embody this frequency, you must be willing to do what most never dare. Descend into silence. Face your shadows. Carry truth without needing to perform it. Few accept that cost, and that is why few carry this presence. Forcing never forges it. Pretending never sustains it. This aura is not built by noise. It is born in stillness. It does not come from being seen. It comes from being real. And realness is what most of the world avoids, because realness burns away illusions. But for the few who endure the fire, the ashes give rise to gravity, a presence that bends reality without a word. If you felt misunderstood, too intense, too deep, it was never a flaw. It was the mark, the proof that you walk with a current others cannot name. The loneliness you've known is the threshold every initiate must cross, not rejection, recognition. The world steps back, not because you are wrong, but because you are rare. And here is the paradox. Though only 1% awaken this aura, their presence is enough to stir the many. You do not need to convince, to prove, or to shout. You only need to be. For in your being, the mirror is held, and every soul who glimpses it is faced with a choice: retreat or remember. So do not shrink. Do not apologize. Do not trade your resonance for noise. You were not meant to blend in. You were meant to awaken. Not everyone will understand you, but the ones who do will never forget you. Your silence will echo louder than their noise. Your presence will ripple further than their performance. And long after the crowd has moved on, the rare will remain. Because this is the truth the ancients guarded. The hidden aura is not given to the masses. It is entrusted to the few who choose depth over illusion, truth over comfort, remembrance over forgetting. And if you are here, if you feel this stirring, perhaps you are one of them. The question is no longer why only 1%. The question is, will you honor it? If this message resonated, let it not end here. Subscribe to Infinity Echoes, activate the bell, and return often. Because in a world addicted to noise, we are building a sanctuary for resonance. And every time you choose truth over illusion, you are not just awakening yourself, you are awakening the field itself.